Let's make some noise. Come on.
Thank you, Nick Foles. Well, that's not a good way to start the week. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another start of another broadcast week of the Final Word here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network with your boy MattyB on the call as usual. It's great to be back here on this Sunday night. We're going to start should be a 4 out of a 5 night week here on the program. Obviously, we're not going to be on Thursday night because of the holiday, but we're going to be with you pretty much right now as planned, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So happy early Thanksgiving to all of you. I know a short work week, short school week, short everything this week as we gear up for Thanksgiving on Thursday. And I don't know how many people are going to be sitting around a Thanksgiving table giving thanks to the Philadelphia Eagles, especially after their effort today, 24-21 loss to the Dallas Cowboys in a game that they tried everything in their power to give away to the Cowboys. A game that also is a snapshot of what has been a struggle all season, to be consistent, scoring points in the second half, and not committing penalties. All those things came back to bear as they have pretty much throughout every game this year. The only difference today, they couldn't find that miracle play at the end of the game. They couldn't get that turnover late. They couldn't get the blocked field goal, the blocked punt. They didn't get the hometown discount tonight from the refs. They didn't get any of that stuff to sort of sway the inconsistent contest to their side, which they have gotten for pretty much most of the season. And what happens when that doesn't happen and you couple in all the problems that have come to bear for this team all year, well, you get a loss. And tonight, they deservedly lost that football game. Now, the Cowboys did not deservedly win that football game because they did everything in their power not to win. But the Eagles said, hold my beer, and I will take care of it, as they fell tonight 24-21. And that, of course, will be the lead story as we'll continue to dissect what was, as I said on the postgame, I went on the postgame for a little bit to kind of help Mike out. You can be upset and you be frustrated, you be angry. It could be all those things. Absolutely. You have every right to be. But the one thing you don't have a right to be is surprised. The one thing you don't have the right to be is shocked by this performance, because it's been here all year. This is what it's been like week to week to week. The unfortunate part, though, a lot of us have failed to recognize it, have stuck our head in the sand, have not acknowledged what this football team is. And tonight, because of those factors that I said that they did not get at the end, they find themselves losers 24-21, now 8-3 on the season. The Cowboys still have a pulse, not only in the NFC, but also in that vaunted NFC East, where the Eagles are trying to break that curse of no back-to-back division champions since the 04-05 Eagles. So that obviously is going to be the number one story. And where do you go from here? I mean, you got to go forward because you got a game in 4 days. The Eagles will be back at it on Friday against the Bears. And I'd like to say, what can they do to fix these problems? But I've been asking that question for 11 weeks, and that hasn't been answered. So I don't know if that's the proper way to go at this. I don't know if the proper way is to say, what do they do to fix the problems? More than what do you do to not lose somehow? I mean, they walk such a razor-thin wire every week. But when they win, which they've done a lot of, we overlook the razor-thin wire and we chalk it up to the it factor and to the X factor and to they got the heart of champions. We ignore the stats. We ignore the X's and O's. But tonight and on this program, whenever you talk to me when it comes to this football team, we don't ignore those things. We go right at them because with all the magical pixie dust in the world, sprinkling it over this football team is not going to replace fundamental football. And tonight, the Eagles once again did not play it. They played for one half. And again, a common story, a common trend of this season. They let an inferior straight up inferior Dallas Cowboy team come back from a 21-0 deficit and just walk away with this game, stealing it. And there's a lot to unpack with this. There's a lot to unpack on the field. There's a lot to unpack off the field. There's a lot to unpack going forward because as the show title indicates, I'm getting those 2023 vibes. I'm not saying that I'm getting them. I've had them all season. But are you starting to get the 2023 vibes? Going into this game, everyone called it the trap game. I did not agree to that. This was not a trap game for me. What was a trap game for me is the game coming up against Chicago. Excuse me. That's the trap game, not this game. So where do we go from here? Well, we go onward and upward. So obviously the Eagles conversation will be first in the shoot and the main topic of the night. We will also get into some Flyers because I dropped the ball. Yeah, I was supposed to do the Flyers post-game last night. I did not do it. I apologize in advance to all you out there. I'm sorry. Something came up that I could not get out of, and it ran a lot later than I thought it was going to. So I toyed around with the idea of coming on this morning early and doing the post-game, but I said, you know what? I don't know if I got to talk about a game where they scored 4 goals in like 30 seconds. I don't know if I got to talk about that. Very impressive win against the Devils 6-3 yesterday. We might break the game down a little bit if there's time tonight. So we'll address the Flyers before they get back at it tomorrow against Tampa. And then, of course, our of the night, our day in Philadelphia sports history, and our card review all back for this first broadcast episode of our week here tonight on Sunday. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get into this stuff right now. Before we do start, I just want to remind this is our schedule coming up for this week on the It's a Wrap Sports Network. It might be a holiday week, but we're not taking much time off. Matter of fact, we have more programming. Well, we have the same amount of programming. We just have it spread out all over the week in order to sort of accommodate people and their schedules and giving some people some time off that they richly deserve. So tonight, tomorrow you're going to have me, and you're going to have the Clear the Ice program. On Tuesday, the Pittsburgh Sports Desk, which is typically is it on Tuesdays? No, yeah, it's on Tuesdays, but it's on at 8. No, when is Pittsburgh Sports? That's on Wednesdays typically. Pittsburgh Sports Desk, which is typically on Wednesdays, will move to Tuesday for this week. Props, locks, and parlays as well. Then me as well. On Wednesday, the night before Thanksgiving Eve, the Birds Blast with Kyle Quinn will return. We don't know the time yet. We got to work that out, but we will broadcast on Wednesday for the Birds Blast. I will have you in the final word on Wednesday night, and also we'll do some Flyers Panthers post game. Friday, it's the big day, Thanksgiving, or Thursday, the big day, Thanksgiving. The Fighting's Final 2025 in review season show. Will air at noon on Thanksgiving Day to kind of get you guys set up for the big holiday, kind of get your mind right on some baseball for Thanksgiving. And then on Friday, we got Birds Flyby, Eagles, Bears, again, the short week. The Gridiron Weekly, that's typically on Thursdays, will now be on Friday this week. And Flyers Islanders post game as well. Saturday, we got Penn State Rutgers as the Happy Valley Huddle will probably, I don't know, does Penn State actually get a bowl game if they beat Rutgers? Does 6-6 qualify them? And not beating anybody at all this season, does that really qualify them for a bowl game? Probably does. But if it's not, this will be the final episode of the Happy Valley Huddle for the season. If it isn't, and if they do get a bowl game, well, then we'll have one more. And we'll do some Flyers Devils post game as well. Then we'll start it all over again on Sunday. Philly AM Sports that made its triumphant debut this morning, along with the Steel City pre and post game, and then the final word with me on MattyB next Sunday night, because there is no football here in Philadelphia on Sunday. We're doing it on Friday. So there's your week in a glance this coming week. So let's get this thing going. Let's strap in, strap on, strap up, keep your head, hands, and feet inside the car at all times. And let's roll for your day in Philadelphia sports history today. In 1954, an announcement made at Penn's Houston Hall. University of Pennsylvania President Dr. Gaylord Harnwell introduced the formation of the Big Five. Robert S. Lyons said it best in his book, The Palestra Pandemonium, A History of the Big Five. He said, for more than 3 decades, Philadelphia's Big Five, LaSalle, Pennsylvania, St. Joe's, Temple, and Nova waged college basketball's biggest and most envied, unique, and frantic rivalry. No other city in the nation ever had as many major universities competing so feverishly for such a coveted title as did the city of brotherly love. So one of the great college basketball stories in America is the Big Five. And honestly, I understand the reason why it never became an official conference. I honestly do. But boy, it was something to behold back in the day. And you have not lived. And unfortunately, most of you probably, or some of you, younger people, will never know the experience of going to the Palestra to watch a Big Five basketball game. And I luckily have had that experience a couple times, actually, in my life. The Big Five is a shell of what it is, what it used to be. They still do a city series, whatever. But for a very long time, the Big Five, and college basketball in itself ran through the city of Philadelphia. And it sure is sad to see the state of it now, all these years later. But on this night, back in 1954, this day back in 1954, the official formation of the Big Five took place. So happy Big Five basketball day for all you old head Philadelphia college basketball fans, because it happened on this day back in 1954. So there you go, your day in Philadelphia sports history. And brought to you by the great folks over at the aforementioned Philly AM Sports. It's going to take me a minute to get the rhythm of that down. But the Philly AM Sports Show, Mike and Al came on this morning to a successful world debut, to a packed house. As what I heard. I was asleep. I missed the show, but I caught it on replay. But a good job by Mike and Al. And the first of, let's hope, many, many, many shows together here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network, as we have to evolve and we got to move forward. And this morning with the rebranding and the relaunch of now the Philly AM Sports Show, we took that very big step. So good job this morning, boys. Well, let's keep up the good work. Now get back to work. Enough of this celebratory nonsense. Get your asses back to work. This is the rhythm of the night. Yes, it is. Yes, it is, Steve. The rhythm of the night. Oh, yeah. So with the rhythm of the night, let's get into the big topic. Let's get into why we all came tonight. Well, let's talk about what happened out there in Big D. Now, before I start, I do want to always context all this stuff by saying I am an Eagles fan. Yes, I am not bought in, nor do I respect or admire anything about the Philadelphia Eagles these days. I have absolutely no respect for their GM, absolute disdain for the head coach, and I could give or take or leave or take about half the football team. But I am still a fan, and one day I will be vindicated and I will be liberated. But right now, it is what it is. But before I get too deep into this, I just also have to put out this, that I am not wishing the Eagles ill will, nor do I wish them to lose. But I had my stand on all this. It didn't matter what happened on the field today, but we're going to get into some Eagle stuff because I am characterized a lot of times I'm characterized as a hater and a negadelphian. If that's what you want and that's what you want to call me, yeah, so be it. But I don't look at it that way. I don't drink from the trough of the homers, right? I don't drink from the big old punch bowl of Kool-Aid, blindlessly. I haven't done that for years. I used to be just like you guys. For you homers out there, of course. I used to be like that. Not since 2019, though. And so as we progress through this rant, and let's call it what it is, man. It's going to be a rant. As we progress through this rant, I just want you guys to keep in mind that I love the Philadelphia Eagles. Absolutely love them. And that's why what's been happening with them and what happened tonight makes it even harder pill for me to swallow. So what happened today out in Dallas was an abomination. An abomination to a city that prides itself on good football, on smart, fundamental football. It's an abomination. Now, there's a certain part of the I almost said the H word, but there's a certain part of the fan base that's going to start creating all the excuses and the narratives of excuses in their heads. The first thing they're going to run to is the refs. Now, like I told you guys a couple weeks ago, or I've been saying for the last couple weeks, I don't want to hear anything more about the ref nonsense. You got paid back over the course of the last 2 weeks against Detroit and Green Bay when it comes to the refs. So all the ticky-tack penalties that you think occurred today. Not saying you're wrong, but you got, sometimes you can't have the cake and eat it too type of thing. You were eating cake a couple weeks ago against Green Bay and Detroit. You weren't so much eating it tonight, but that's how the cookie crumbles, or the cake crumbles in this case. So I don't want to hear the penalty nonsense. But I do want to hear the penalty nonsense because the Eagles committed 14 of them. Listen, I've been following football for a minute. Long time. And I'd have to go back and look at this. But I do not remember an Eagle football team that was penalized in one game close to 100 yards. And the Eagles finished tonight with 14 penalties for 96 yards. One might say that's, oh my God, what happened? Was it a blip in the radar? And I'm here to say it wasn't a blip in the radar. It's status quo of 2025. The Eagles have now committed 84 penalties on the season. That's on an average of about 8 a game. They've been penalized for 621 yards, on average for about 57. So no, all those penalties tonight was not an anomaly or a glitch in the matrix. It was the status quo. It was the trend. It's been a trend all season. And every week I come on these shows and I go on other shows and I bitch and moan about penalties. And I get told, whatever. Yeah. It doesn't matter. It is what it is. It's part of what they are. I don't know what that means, but it's part of what they are. But you're never going to win consistently at this level if you're going to commit 14 penalties for close to 100 yards. That's not going to happen, man. Physics will not allow that. So right off the bat, we have a trend, not a shock, not a oh no, none of that. This is something that's been happening all season. So we got the 14 penalties. Lane Johnson back in 3 weeks. Yes, not needing the surgery. Will be back in 3 weeks. So he's not going to miss projected. What was he going to be out to, like the wild card round or the divisional round? Because we can't run block. Now, another thing. Let's go with what Steve's talking about, run blocking. Not a shock. Not a shock about the ineffectiveness of Saquon Barkley this season. And again, I think that's what the narrative of these fans are going to be this week, is they're going to be talking about some of these things like it's the first time happening. They're going to mention penalties. Penalties are going to have to be talked about this week because you can't ignore 14 of them and close to 100 yards, 96 yards to be exact. You can't ignore that. But no one's even going to go back in time to the other 10 weeks and find out that this is not necessarily something new. This has been happening all season. Saquon Barkley and his ineffectiveness, as Steve says, Lane Johnson's the reason why the offensive line struggles and they can't run block. I disagree with that statement. I 100% wholeheartedly disagree with that statement. I'm not pinning Saquon Barkley's disastrous season on the offensive line's health. Now, has it helped it? No. But Saquon Barkley could run through a wall last year and never get touched. This year, he's routinely getting pushed back at the line of gain or even in the backfield. Call it a lack of a step. Call it a sophomore slump. Call it I'm tired. Whatever you want to call it. I don't know what it is. Age, father time, gravity. I don't know what it is, but it's something that needs to be identified and acknowledged. And I don't think you can hide your head from it anymore. Does Lane Johnson and his return to the offensive line help the offensive line? No doubt. Absolutely no doubt. Does it help Saquon Barkley? Well, it really hadn't helped him at all this season. I mean, he came into this game averaging about 3 or 4 yards a carry. It really hasn't helped him. Has the overall health of the offensive line and the play in general of that offensive line helped Saquon Barkley? No, it hasn't. No. And there is something to be said there. I'm not pinning it all on Saquon. Yes, the offensive line does share a lot of the responsibility. But Saquon Barkley's inability to get anything resembling of 2024, and I'm not wanting a carbon copy. There was no way to sit here and tell you that replicating what he did in 2025 or was going to replicating what he did in 2024 was going to happen. A fool would have to think that he was going to do that. And I know there's some fools out there that thought he was. I didn't. I just wanted him to get as close as possible. And now as he moves into week 13, what's he like, 600 yards, 500 and change? I mean, I don't even know if he's going to see 1,000 this year. So there's something there. It's not something you can wish away. And what that has done to the offensive attack, again, week after week after week, I talked about it. I bitched about it. I moaned about it. I was called negative. I was called a hater. But what the lack of Saquon's running ability has done to this offense is put the burden completely on the hands of Jalen Hurts. And he's not that kind of quarterback. He is far from that type of quarterback. Now, in today's game, Jalen was tossing the rock all over the place. Jalen actually got out in space a couple times. There was one or two design runs for him, and then he was running for the rest of his life after that. But it was a little bit more creative today. I got to give the Eagle offense that, especially in the first half. Woo. 21-0. We're on our way. So I'm not going to necessarily pin Jalen. I'm not pinning Jalen down on this game. But to put the offense on Jalen Hurts' arm for a course of a season is not going to work because he's not that kind of quarterback. He's a very good quarterback. I'm so tired of saying this. Right? And then we get the run blocking. Call it what it is, a team loss whose DNA is altered on the O and know they have to play under a different strength. I don't know where you're going with this. Call it what it is. A team loss whose DNA is altered. So the DNA is altered by what? By the loss of Lane Johnson, by the ineffectiveness of Jalen Hurts, by the infighting of A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts, by the criticism of the media towards Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown, to Saquon Barkley's inability to replicate 2024. What is the altering? What is the DNA altering move here? Because I disagree. This is the same offense that was existing in 24, the same offense that existed in 23, the same offense that existed in 22, and the same offense to a lesser extent that existed in 2021. What is the one uncommonality of these offenses that existed throughout all those years? It's the play of Saquon Barkley in 2024 and the one elite year of Jalen Hurts in 2022. But everything else has been the same. Can't even factor in the damn offensive coordinators because they've changed out every year. So what do you mean the DNA? The DNA has not been altered. It's there. That's who they are. They've always been this. I'm going to open them up. Most of the year, the pre-snap penalties were not there in the first few weeks, but have slowly embedded their way every week since week 4. Let's look at that. Now, you mentioned pre-snap penalties. I don't have them broke down that far, Steve. You might be right, but I do have the penalty trend broke down from the beginning of the season because I keep that stat. I've been keeping that stat for years. So let's go back to week 1 against Dallas. The Eagles committed 9 penalties in that game for 110 yards. Now, I don't know if they were pre-snap penalties. All right? I don't know the lineage of all these penalties. 9 penalties for 110 yards to get the season going. Week 2 against Kansas City, 6 penalties for 48 yards. Not bad. Week 3 against the Rams, 5 for 50. I can live with that. Week 4 against Tampa, 8 for 83. We're going right back up, as you mentioned, week 4. Week 5 against Denver, 9 for 55. Yeah, I can live with that too. Week 6 against the Giants in that blowout, 4 for 46. Week 7 against Minnesota, 8 for 64. Then the second Giants game, 5 for 30. Then against Green Bay, 7 for 61. Against Detroit, 9 for 78. And then today, 14 for 96. So yes, it's been pretty consistent around that 6, 7, 8 range. You can't live like that, man. So I disagree with that statement. Now, we can argue pre-snap stuff all day long. Penalty is a penalty to me. The Eagles offense and the players on the offensive, in the OC, on the OCN, AC all suck. What the hell's all that mean? OCN, offensive coordinator, head coach, all suck. Kind of blanket that statement there, Kaepernick. I would rather have lost to the Cowboys than ourselves. Losing to yourself is freaking worse. You don't think we lost to ourselves? Steve? You thought the Cowboys beat us today? You thought the Dallas Cowboys came out there and ripped us apart, or beat us. I shouldn't say ripped us apart. CeeDee Lamb, who's probably a double agent. I mean, I ain't never seen anything like this. 7 drops against the Eagles this year. I think 2 or 3 of them are touchdown drops. I don't necessarily think the Cowboys came out and actually put a whipping on the Eagles. Absolutely not. I can account for 21 points in the first half and 0 in the second half. I don't know how much the Cowboys influenced that. Are you being existential here? Or are you condescending? Or what do you mean? Because you actually believe the Cowboys? I don't think you believe that. You can't believe that. Hey, what's going on, Joe? How are you tonight? Cam Jurgens and Lane Johnson are bending at the waist, dude. They never did that last year ever. So you're going to put the problems of the offensive line on the 2 players. What about Stoutland? What about this great offensive line foundation? I'm not disagreeing that they're not having good seasons. Lane Johnson's a friggin' Hall of Famer. I will take the worst of Lane Johnson any day over the best of most of the offensive linemen in this league. You're not going to pin down the Eagles' problems this year to the offensive line. It's not going to work with me, Nooms. There's no way. You're not going to pin that down to me. Saquon's regression, yes, in part is due to the offensive line, but it's not fully to that. I'm not sitting here disagreeing with you, but you're not going to pin it down to the offensive line. You're not. I fail to believe that based on the lunacy coming out of most Eagle fans' mouths in regards to the quarterback, the wide receiver combinations, and Saquon Barkley. You should be able to overcome. You're also not going to get through my head that averaging 8 points in the second half of football games is legitimately caused by the offensive line. Yeah, it's part of it. But you're not going to hammer that down to the offensive line to me. Absolutely not. It's part of it, yeah. I'll give you that. But it's not the source. Sorry, Landers. I think Cam Jurgens has been having, all 3 of them have struggled for the most part. They're one-dimensional team right now. They've been a one-dimensional team for years. God damn. Been a one-dimensional team for years. They were one-dimensional last year too. Hand the ball off to Saquon and rely on your defense. 2023, pass the ball. One dimension. 2022, pass the ball with a lot of success. There's never been multiple dimensions to this offense for years. It's been either one or the other. Are there a few scenarios where he misses a few gaps? Yes, but getting hit behind the line of scrimmage tends to do that. You're right. Again, I'm not sitting here telling you, because what was one of the things before, one of the trends last year with his running was he was about 5 yards down the field before he made the first contact with the defense. The offensive line was getting a massive push. I'll give you that. But again, that's part of it. I'm not laying it all on the feet of them. I wish I owned the Eagles. I would fire Sirianni and Padula at Kaepernick. Then I'd hire. So we're going to hire another offensive coordinator. Another one. And then when he struggles, you bitch and moan about this guy, you fire. When does the madness stop? Kevin Padula has been mentioned in head coaching opportunities. And Kyle Quinn had a great theory about that. I think Kevin Padula is allegedly coveted by other NFL teams because of what he's getting out of the Eagles offense. I think there's one fan base in this league that puts the Eagles offense in some other like Heidi level of eliteness. That's us. I think everybody else inside the know is really like meh about the Eagle offense. Middle of the road. You know, not great, not terrible. They can put up points, but can they do it consistently? So I honestly think Kevin, and I agree with Kyle's theory on that. I agree with it. That Kevin Abdul's get what he got out of the offense up to this point with the 8 wins has actually shot his star up into the NFL galaxy because other teams are seeing his ability to work with a limited quarterback, a banged up offensive line, a running back that's regressed after an all-world season. So I disagree. Kevin Abdul is not the problem. Nick Sirianni is. I like John Gruden coming here as a head coach. Is that what you want? Yeah, there you go. Dougie P or Frank Reich is offensive coordinator? Yeah. I'll do it. I'm game. Just for those names. I do it. The healthy offensive line is the biggest difference in your blind is bad. You can't say it. Oh, no, it's not. So, did I say that I can't see it? What about you? You're a Howie Roseman guy. Where's your GM? Where's the depth along that offensive line? Again, we're going to fall on the sword, right? Well, let's spread the blame around. Who is the architect that builds the offensive line? Where is the depth pieces along that line? If they're so banged up, which I agree with you. I agree. But where's the depth along that line? Come on, you're a Howie guy, Nooms. Where's your GM? Where's your all-world GM at today? What kind of help did he provide that offensive line? Where's the rotational pieces? Where's the Bectons of last year? There is none. Where's the offensive lineman you got from Michigan? Or what was that Robinson? Where did he come from? Well, he hasn't seen the field. A draft pick. I'll give you the offensive line's health is a major issue, but you got an elite quarterback too, allegedly. Why can't he overcome that with his ability to move around and extend plays? Why can't your offensive coordinator, your all-world Jeff Stoutland guy, come up with some sort of Band-Aid thing to kind of get the offense moving? And where's your GM? Where's your fraud of an ass GM who did not construct a proper depth chart along the offensive line? So again, we can go all night long with this. Point, counterpoint, I will go all night. God damn it. But I agree with you. I do agree with you. The NFL should set a new rule that the offensive coordinator and defense can't make any moves with the current. No, he shouldn't. Oh, man. Pre-snap penalties are under your control. Yeah, another penalties are aggression. Yeah, again, I haven't broke them down into pre-snap penalty versus stupid penalties, I guess. I have not broke that down. But I don't really, again, differentiate. So tonight, it looked like the Eagles were jumping off sides or false starting pretty much every play of the game. It's almost like they're reverting back to the old Cowboy where they would set right before the snap. I don't know if you guys noticed that. I'm not saying it was penalty. It was just kind of weird to see. I agree. I haven't broken it further down to see all the pre-snap, the false starts or the illegal formations. I haven't seen any of that stuff. I haven't broken it that far down. Nick Sirianni is the only head coach in the NFL that cannot take over the OC or DC play calling. Yes, he can. He can take over the OC play calling. It'll be a disaster, but he can do it. Nothing stopping him. He did it when he first came here. I'm not saying it'd be a good move. Having skilled players is a waste if your offensive energy has been. I disagree with you 100%. So was Barry Sanders running behind an all-world offensive line? Was Walter Payton doing that? Were some of your greatest players in NFL history riding the backs of their offensive line? Now, they rode the backs of the offensive line. Absolutely. But I thought skilled players, again, I'm not discrediting that. I agree with you. But has the offensive line been that bad? Has it regressed that much? And where's the help if that's the case? Where was the help at the trade deadline for the offensive line if that was the case? Where was the trades for offensive linemen if that were the case? No, we got Sua Opeta coming in. Wow, you're all wrong over the place. Not even entertaining tonight. Deuces. See ya, Steve. Can I open the phone lines? I can. The Eagles' offense is not middle of the road. They're lower part of the road. I agree with you 100% there, too. Open the phone lines. I will. Give me a minute. Steen does the old Cowboys stand-up. Yeah, did you notice that? That was weird. Absolutely weird. Anyway, let me get back on track here, man. So the phone lines are open. Phone lines are open if you guys want to jump on in. So I haven't even really broke this game down. So for the positives of this game, first half, let's talk about the positives. Jalen Hurts. What did he throw for, like 400 yards in the first half and like 10 in the second? No, on a real positive note with Jalen Hurts. He completed for the game. This was really impressive, actually. 8 passes completed to the middle of the field in this game for him. He has not done that in, I've been tracking this for 3 years now. He's never done that. 8 passes completed to the middle of the field. 3 in the first quarter, 2 in the second quarter. He did not have any in the third, and he had 3 in the fourth in order to help him out. So 36 passes now completed over the middle of the field for Jalen Hurts this year. Based on the first half effort by the Eagles, they were destined to win this game 41-0. Something happened along the line. We could call it an offensive lack of an adjustment, lack of any sort of creativity, lack of filling a hole. As Steve mentioned, was it the health of the offensive line? Again, I'm not putting my eggs in that basket. I disagree with that. I disagree with it wholeheartedly. I think it's an excuse. You got a great football team, allegedly, a Super Bowl champion football team. They should be able to overcome this. And again, this is not 1 week's worth of stuff. It's 11 weeks of it. The offense just went away in the second half, as it has for the most part of the season. 8 points now averaged by the Philadelphia Eagles in second half of play. 8 points. Dallas did absolutely nothing, in my opinion, to get back into this football game. Absolutely nothing. They did not do anything. And it was very frustrating. The mental mistakes by the Cowboys as well. To be honest with you, this comeback, as it began to unfold, Dallas was trying not to do it themselves with all their penalty issues, all their drop passes, all their miscommunications to the line of scrimmage. I mean, this was a very ugly football game, honestly. And at one point, as I was getting ready to wrap this bad boy up, wrap the game up, I was prepared to put as one of my key takeaways of this football game was the inability of the Cowboys to capitalize on the Eagles' mistakes because of their own. But Dallas somehow found a way to one up, or the Eagles found a way to one up the Cowboys. Turnovers, stupid decisions. I don't know, man. Just it doesn't really bode well right now for the Eagles. So let's go into let's take a caller, Joe Hales. Joe, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm good. Well, I'm pissed, but I'm good. Why? So I'm going to go back to the fourth down play, the punt. Why would you field that at your 2-yard line?
Well, I don't think it was quite at the 2. Wasn't it up around the 5 or 6? It was a little bit, but either way, it shouldn't have been fielded.
But he ran back. He ran backwards and then he fumbles it.
Yeah. No, I would have let that go. I would. Maybe he was, I don't know, maybe he was trying to make something happen. Maybe the offensive frustrations had trickled down to the special teams and Gibson was trying to let a spark underneath the offense. I don't know, but even him fielding it, which he did cleanly, it wasn't like he was, he fumbled it on contact. He fielded it, tried to return it, and then you just can't. I mean, you can't fumble it, man. You can't. I mean, we've said it. It's 101 football rule. You just can't turn the football over. But I don't think Dallas didn't even capitalize on that. They stopped them.
No, they,
You know what I mean?
yeah, they stopped them.
So I'm saying it was ineptitude
But
versus ineptitude all night long.
And then everybody's complaining, not you guys. I was listening to the Dallas broadcast post game. Everybody's complaining about Devontae Smith rising by himself. You guys know why, right? He was sick. The whole team's been sick.
Mm-hmm.
There's a flu.
I'm not even aware. What did he do? What did he do?
He arrived by himself on an Eagles private jet.
Oh no, I give a shit about that. I don't care. I'm sure there was a reason for it.
I know. No,
yeah.
He came out and said he's been sick.
So he played the game sick?
Yes. He had a nice
What was
catch.
Devontae's numbers on this game?
Thoughts on that passing?
Okay. Thoughts on what pass interference? You cut off.
The on Pickens that should have been called that wasn't called.
Yeah, I had the same thoughts that I had on the AJ Brown pass interference last week.
What are you saying? It should have been called.
No, it should have been called. It should have been called. Again, I'm not going to listen, Joe. You're right. And one thing I'm not going to do, and I don't think any Eagle fan really has the right to do anymore, is bitch about the refs. I honestly don't. Were there some ticky-tack calls in this game? Yeah, of course there were. But the Eagles committed 14 penalties. I mean, they committed 14 plays that were deemed to be penalties. Whether or not they were actually penalties or not is irrelevant. They still, 14. And it's almost like at a certain point when they're getting so many penalties that maybe, because I know I do this in baseball all the time, when a pitcher is wild all over the place, can't hit the zone to find it, can't find his zone wherever, then he gets one close to the zone. I'm not giving it to him. It's outside. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's sort of that mentality might sort of take over after a while.
And I don't understand why the Cowboys made the Eagles punt again. Because there was a flag on both fields, but they didn't call it. And as they thought it hit the scoreboard, that punt.
Yeah. I saw that. Yeah. Well, I think that's the rule in the NFL. It has to be a redo.
But it didn't hit the scoreboard.
They showed it up there. I couldn't tell whether or not it hit something, but yeah. But Joe, we're not going to be able to. We're not pinning this loss on that call, are we? we're not doing that, right?
I want to give credit to the defense. The first half defense forced turnovers, something that they couldn't do last week.
Yeah. Yeah, they were able to shut down Dallas. Dallas was going to come back trail down 14-0. They almost made it 14-7 there, and that Dak was a very bad decision to throw that football, and he paid for it. But the defense, for the most part, did not show up tonight. I didn't hear Jalen Phillips' name called at all tonight. Not once. I didn't hear his name called. There was really no pass rush, and the secondary got whipped up tonight. All of them out there got pretty much beat bad. Cooper got beat. Cooper made some good plays, but he got beat. Quinion got beat. And I'm telling you, if it hadn't been for CeeDee Lamb's undercover Eagles status as a double agent, it would have been a lot worse. 7 drop passes against the Eagles this year.
George Pickens had a big drop in the first quarter.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. But CeeDee Lamb had big drops throughout the game and throughout the games this year against the Eagles. So, are you surprised the overall outcome of this game? Not necessarily how it went down, but the loss. Were you surprised they lost this game? Yeah. Again, not necessarily how they lost, but like losing this football game.
Everybody was saying this is the trap game.
I disagree.
Now they're going to come out. They're going to come out and beat the Bears.
No, I think the trap game is the Bears game. That's what I think it is. I've always thought that.
Okay. Yeah. They're going to come out and beat the Bears. I want to talk baseball real quick. Thoughts on their Brandon Nimmo trade?
Oh, yeah. Simeon on his way to the Mets. Nimmo on his way to the Rangers. Yeah. That could be altering for the top of that Mets lineup. They got definitely a number 2 hitter now. Now it really does it really put the emphasis back on the Mets to re-sign Alonso to continue that power in that lineup? That's a big trade. That's a huge trade. What's that?
They're not going to get Alonzo.
Well, they got to replace him, and they got to find someone to replace him with. That's a huge trade. That's an altering trade in the NL East.
Okay, that's it. But thank you.
Yep. All right, Joe. Listen, man, we'll be on tomorrow, Monday, or tomorrow, Tuesday, and Wednesday. All right, man?
Yep.
All right, brother. Joe Hale checking in. Yeah, what's going to kind of fall off the wayside tonight is we're not going to be able to talk about baseball. There's been some moves on baseball. We'll get into the hot stove and all that tomorrow. I'll bring it back up. So I definitely want to comment on that stuff, but obviously I might not have the chance here tonight, as we are almost an hour in and I've not even gotten off the Eagles. But so let's get back on the Eagles thing. Many mistakes on both teams. The Eagles' first half was an amazing offensive, almost looked like they had figured out their offensive problems, moving the ball consistently, putting points on the board. You know, another opening drive touchdown tonight. That's 6 now for the season. 2 first-quarter touchdowns. I mean, all signs were pointing positively towards the Eagles in this football game. And then I guess right around towards the end of the second quarter, it just went away, and we went right into our old ways of struggling offensively, and they did not put up any points the rest of the way. And I mean, think of it. All they needed to do was 3 more points, and we'd have at least overtime. Again, got to stop thinking that there's not a problem here. Michael Peppernick joins me. Michael, what's up?
Hey, what up, Matty? Yeah, listen, I ain't joking. I mean, look, I would seriously. Jeffrey Lurie owns this team. I'd walk into Howie's office and say, "You made these decisions of what went on. This is my decision. Sirianni's gone, Petula's gone, Gruden, whoever, bring them in. Whether whatever we do this year, we do this year. Jalen and Brown, get rid of one of them next year. Yeah, that's it, man. Clean house and put Howie on notice. And I'm a Howie guy, but put him on notice because this is his fault this year. We all know that for what he did. And we understand why he did it because he didn't have the money. He has to have money for next year for these big guys. So he tried to, nickel and dime the team. And look what it's doing. Now, Jalen, which I don't understand. I know, like I said the other night, I know he's not Dan Fouts. I know he's not Dan Marino. But why aren't they shortening him up to try to get the ball out of his hand just a little quicker?
I don't know. And that's been a question for Jalen Hurts for years. And that sack late in the game, the one only sack that the Cowboys had, which was a huge moment of that football game, he just would not throw the ball. I mean, that guy was standing back there for about 35 seconds and just stood there. Didn't do nothing with it. I mean, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
Are the receivers having a hard time getting open?
That's been one of the theories kind of entertained about why A.J. Brown has been struggling, and he's, not been targeted as much as because Jalen can't seem to get the ball to him because he's not getting open. I'd have to look at all 22, and I'd have to look at things from the upper views and all that. I can't honestly answer that question.
Okay. Now remember this. Remember 22, I think it was 20 when Brown and Hurts had that little issue, and then Brown got like 5-6 games of 100 yards.
Yeah.
Well, now look at this. The odd man out today was Dallas Goedert.
Yeah, he was.
So think about that one. It's time to kiss somebody's. You know what?
And that's what one of the things that we were concerned about was the overcompensation and trying to force balls. AJ had a good day today. I mean, what was it? 8 receptions for over 100 yards and touchdown.
But that falls on that falls on Sirianni. He has to. You can't be doing that. It don't benefit the team just because this guy wants his stats.
No,
it don't. I mean, and this team is like the Detroit Lions. They're predicated on the run. Without the run, well, except Goff can throw the ball a lot better than Jalen. We understand that, but without the run, you can't. Those 2 quarterbacks shouldn't be throwing the ball 35 times a game. You can't.
No.
That's a recipe for disaster. This defense, the Denver game and the Rams game, not the Rams game, the Denver game and the Bucks game, they laid down the second half. Lucky they beat the Bucks. They get tired. I mean, how do you have an offense with all these weapons and you lead the league in 3 and outs?
How do you have an offense with all these weapons and you're averaging 8 points in the second half?
Yeah. That's what I'm getting at. Like, somebody's got to look. We know they're not going to get rid of the players, and I don't want Sirianni. Why don't they ask Stalin? Maybe he can call the plays. Seriously. I mean, somebody else has got to be a lot more competent on that team than Sirianni and Patullo. And I'm going to put a lot on Patullo because you know what? He's been here. He's buddy. Oh, that's right. The other guy was buddy with him, and that was the same results in 22. Oh, there you go. You can't bring
Ryan
buddies
Johnson
on this team.
Yeah.
Listen, Steichen and Kellen Moore were outsiders, and look how the offense ran.
Yeah. No, listen, you're not going to get an argument out of me there, Papernick. I agree with you, and but I also me and Newms were fighting about it earlier. There's a constant to the team's problems offensively over the years, and that's been the offense. It's been the same guys. Yeah, we've changed coordinators literally every single season, but the players have never changed, and things never dipped. Things never got worse. Things never got better. It was just a constant struggle offensively, with the exceptions of 24 and 22. So I'm having a hard time putting it all on the hands of Kevin Patullo in terms of he's purposely making bad calls. I've never been a fan of Nick Sirianni's play calling ability. I've never been a fan of his head coaching ability or CEO ability, whatever he is. I'm not a fan of that. But everyone's looking for the magic recipe. Fire the coordinator, fire the coach. Yeah, I agree. But we need better players, I think.
Yeah, but but if you think about this, Sirianni couldn't boss around Kellen Moore. He couldn't boss around Shane Steichen.
Yeah, that's true.
He could do it to Brian Johnson and Patullo because they're newbies.
And they're system guys with him. Yeah.
That's right there. That's where I'm getting at. Just think how the offense ran under them guys. Decent. I mean, it wasn't great in the beginning with Kellen Moore, and then he figured it out. You know what I'm saying? And he straightened the ship out. We got a Super Bowl, on the team. But yeah, and you want to know what? Adoree Jackson is horrible. He only looks good because the defensive line is.
He's terrible. He's absolutely terrible.
Listen. If I was Dallas, I would have picked as soon as Pickens went out, I would have put CeCe Lamb. I would have had everybody CeCe and him all day. They would have 300 yards each if I was Dallas throwing the ball. Adoree Jackson.
If CeeDee Lamb didn't have the case, first of all, if CeeDee Lamb didn't have cases of the dropsies against the Eagles, they would have won that first game on opening night. They would have beat the Eagles on opening night, and this game would have been the Cowboys probably would have won by at least 13 if CeeDee Lamb did not have the cases of dropsies.
Next year's draft. And the Eagles got to draft a DB number 2. I was pushing for Cooper to be out there. I don't think Cooper could be the 2. He didn't look good. He looked lost out there today. Now maybe it's just a 1-game thing, or maybe he's just settled in as that slot guy. He can rotate out there once in a while, play some safety, do a little bit of everything.
I agree.
But they got to get that DB number 2 here. They got to draft the kid and bring him in, just like they did Lito and Sheldon. Bang. And that, right there, let them grow. Because
they gotta do it.
Quignon can't stick everybody. He can't.
No, he can't. And as you mentioned with Cooper, I mean, and the defense in general. I said this all season long, and I said it over the last 2 weeks were magical. I mean, dominant performances, but they were coming off of a bye week. Now here we go. We're getting into the grind again, and they're still spending a lot of time on the field. And they're getting worn down yet again. So,
does Brandon Graham look big to you, or does he look like he's in shape?
Nah, he looks old.
Big. But he looks big. I don't know why he's playing. I seen him out there a lot of snaps. Like
I didn't see him.
I don't get. No, I saw him out there a bunch of snaps. I'm like, I'd probably like. Give him 5 snaps a game and say, Brandon, you're basically just to keep Jalen Carter under control. That's what you're here for. Seriously.
I don't want to get any more personal foul penalties. That's your job.
I mean, I can't blame Stoutland because of all the years what he's had and what he's done. I mean, they're having a bad year. Fangio had a bad game, but it's that's the cards are dealt with. I mean, you got Adoree Jackson, then you got Kelly Ringo. Now you're hoping Makuba ain't out. I mean, man.
Well, Makuba's not since the week 2 game against the Chiefs where he had that gift interception because Kelsey turned his head too soon and the ball bounced into Makuba's hands. What has Drew Makuba really done all season?
Nothing.
Honestly,
Nothing.
yeah. So again, I think we lofted him up a little bit too much too. I'm not saying he can't develop, and I'm definitely putting him in a higher expectation level than Keely Ringo and Sidney Brown. But really, what has Makuba done? Honestly, what has any of the draft picks done? Again, this is part of Howie's philosophy or strategy this year was to draft really well again and hopefully have another type of Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis type situation on his hands. But none of them has stepped up this year. It really hasn't been anything from this draft class.
I think. Not this draft class. Yeah, no. Yeah. Jordan. I thought you were talking. I was going to say Jordan Davis played pretty decent.
Oh no! I'm talking about because the plan was to let all these good contributors walk away from the Super Bowl team, replace them with Class B free agents, and then hopefully some of the draft picks that you drafted this year would step up, and then some of the picks from previous years would step into a role as well. None of that has happened.
No,
not to the point where I think we all thought it was going to be, or maybe even what Howie thought, but. That's concerning too, but you got to give those draft picks an opportunity to develop within the system. I always give them 3 years and then you make a final assessment on them. But so far not looking good because of that reason. And yes, the defense, they're a dominating force. They're a very good defense, but if they're playing 75, 80% of the snaps of the game, I don't care who you are, man, you're going to get tired.
Now, the trap game, I'm with you. I thought the trap game was going to be the Bears, and then the Chargers. One of them two were going to be a trap game because the Chargers not really because they're going to be in LA, so it's going to be like a home thing. But the Bears really is because of the short week, and now we got to.
They're going to take the Bears for granted because of the Bears. That's what I thought too.
Yeah, and I mean, here's the thing. I didn't know he plays for him. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. He was released by Baltimore a month ago, and now he's with the Bears.
Yeah, he's on the practice squad, I think.
No, I think if he is, Howie should take him right off it and put him right back here. If Makuba's not playing, put him right there because Blankenship's hurt, Makuba's hurt. We don't know if they're going to be playing Friday.
Michael Carter II and what? Sidney Brown? Is that what the new rotation will be?
Yeah. Well, you know what? I don't have a problem with Carter. See, they brought Carter in because he could play the slot. Because I thought they were going to move Cooper outside, but I guess that's not the plan. Now, real fast, what's this trade that went down with the Mets?
Marcus Semien got traded to the Mets, and Brandon Nimmo went to the Rangers.
Now he's a second baseman, Semien, right? Or a shortstop?
No, I think he's a second baseman.
But okay, so their second baseman he could play the outfield too. That whatever his name is, Jeff something. Yeah, I don't like him anyway. So
Jeff O'Neill.
Yeah. He's a cocky person. I just don't like him. So that don't mean they can't.
It's an altering trade offensively for the.
Yes, I don't think that affects the Pete Alonso thing. I think that actually makes them want to bring Pete back.
That's what I'm saying. I think now you do have to bring Pete back because you can balance that lineup. Now you have a very potent 1 through 5 in that lineup. Yeah, you have Semien's a God-given number 2 hitter. He's prototypical, and you got Soto batting behind him, and then you need someone to protect Soto now, and it's got to be a lineup.
Wow. At least they got a GM that's got half a brain. I mean, our GM. Yep. We're gonna have Kyle Schwarber batting second, Bader batting fourth, JT, whatever. Whoever's going to be there, JT will be somewhere in there. I mean, we're just. I heard. I see something yesterday that he's going to sign a 1-year deal for $16 million or $15 with the Phillies.
Who, JT?
JT. Yeah, it's a 1-year deal. That's what I heard. That's what I read.
He said he'd give a team 2. He was not looking for 3. He would do a 2-year con. He said that's what he would do. He would do a 1 or 2 year. He's not looking for a 3 or more. So that was the last I heard about that. I didn't see. So the Phillies should have gave him a
2-year contract with the second year being the team option. That's what I would have done. If they thought he's playing well, you keep him. Let him go.
Yeah.
Because who's the catcher of the future? Who's our catcher after that? We ain't got one.
So you got, of course, Marshawn, and you got Caden Hedinger, who's down in Double-A. Then you got
we got Party Boy.
Boy. He's still with them. Then you got he just re-signed, didn't he? Did he accept the offer?
Yeah, he signed a 2-way contract.
Yeah, he's not a fool. All right. Oh, he's not stupid. He knows he got a good gig here, you know?
Sure, he just has to cheer on the sidelines when they bring him up, which makes no sense.
He gets to play in Lehigh Valley. He gets to have fun down there.
All right, Matty. So, but yeah, hopefully Friday the Eagles win.
Yeah, and then listen, if you know, again, that's why I thought this game coming up is the trap game, not necessarily the Cowboy game, because of the short week of potentially coming off of this with a loss, which they have. They can't lose 2 games in 1 week and go into their mini bye 8-4 without the city imploding. You know,
I mean, don't get me wrong, 8-4 ain't horrible.
But the way that they've gotten the 8-4, we all look in between the numbers, so we all see what the reality of that is.
Because we're going back to 22, 23, when they were the worst 10-1 team in football. Only played 1 full game against the Rams. That was it, and everything went downhill. And that's when they kissed his ass, and it still was shit. So just get rid of that guy in the offseason.
Yeah.
Trade him to New England. He wants to go New England. He says it every year how he grew up in New England. He did the Patriots. Just send him to the Patriots.
Yeah, but I want to send him where he wants to go. I want to send his ass to Vegas or send him somewhere where he can do a lot of damage to somebody off the field, like Vegas, LA. So where he can really be a distraction, you know?
Bill Belichick did that to some linebacker who asked for some money, and he sent him to Cleveland. I mean,
send him to Cleveland.
Send him somewhere.
Buffalo. I'm gonna send your ass to Buffalo, man. Right?
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you something, Matty. I'm gonna leave you with this. If the Chiefs, because I had the Chiefs Eagles in the Super Bowl this year, if the Chiefs don't make the playoffs, I lived a couple hours from Buffalo. I was surrounded by Buffalo fans. I would tell you something. If they don't get this Super Bowl this year, if the Chiefs ain't in it, they're frauds anyway. So, but this is their year to get there if they're going to do it, because the Chiefs might not be in the playoffs.
Well, the Chiefs saved their season today. That was on the line. Yeah, saved their season.
Well, that's my point. If they get in the playoffs, the Bills' chances of getting the Super Bowl are done. They're frauds. Yeah. I just watched that game Thursday night, and I'm thinking, you're losing to the backup quarterback who ain't got no real good running game. He's got his wide receiver. I don't know who they are, but the number 1 defense in the NFL, and they just sacked him 10 times. He's horrible. These Bills fans are horrible. You live up here too. You know the deal.
I know the deal up there. Yeah. All right, Peppernick, we'll talk, man.
All right, Matty. See you, man.
All right, Michael Peppernick. Yeah, I know the deal. God damn it. Talk Flyers. Ricky, you want to talk Flyers? We're in the middle of an Eagles breakdown. But we'll talk whatever you want, man. What do you want to talk about?
Go Eagles.
I don't know, man. I don't know, Ricky. Where are they going, man? Where are they going? It was a rough day today, man. Rough day today, Ricky. A lot of the problems of this football team, all the problems of this football team came out to bear today. So it's hard to pull any positivity out of today, and that's why I'm here, because I don't pull positivity out of anything, but I don't know, Ricky. Go Eagles, indeed. So what else? What's up? What else is on your mind?
Go Flyers.
Yeah, big game last night. 6 goals. It went off like 4 goals in 30 seconds or something like that against the Devils. Looking good. 25 points. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, we're probably not going to get to the Flyers tonight because of the Eagles, but tomorrow we will, because we got Flyers Lightning tomorrow night. So we'll probably talk some Flyers tomorrow, Ricky. All right, brother?
Can I get a shot for it for a second?
All right, Ricky, deal. I got to go, Ricky. We're getting late into the show. Yeah, so 24-21. Let's go over to stat pack real quick in this game. Eagles were 3 for 3 in the red zone. so far now for the season, 21 for 27 at about 77%. They scored 21 first half points in this game, 158 for the season, 14.3 on average in the first half. No points in the second half. Now just 97 points scored in the second half. 8.8 on the season. 14 penalties for 96 yards. 84 penalties now on the year, averaging close to 8 a game for 621 yards, averages close to 57 yards. They forced 2 turnovers, which is a positive. 12 now on the season, a little bit over 1 a game, but they committed 2, which now only brings their number up to 6. Still one of the best teams in the league at not turning the football over. Jalen got sacked 1 time for 13 yards. Jalen's been sacked now 27 times on the season. That number's slowly rising. Maybe it's jumping into Steve's theory about the offensive line. I don't know. Sacks by the defense. They got to Dak Prescott 1 time for 6 yards. And fourth down effectiveness today, 0 for 0. Eagles did not go for it at all on fourth down. Didn't find themselves in a position to do that. 11 for 17 now on the year for 64.7%. One of the lower ratings of the fourth down efficiency ranking of the Eagles in recent years. They were a fourth down going for it machine, but a lot of that has to do with the penalties. They're constantly finding themselves in 3rd and long. The inability of Saquon Barkley to run the football, or apparently the offensive line to block for him. I mean, again, I'm not going to blame the offensive line. Are they part of it? They are. But I mean, come on, man. You got such a high-powered octane offense. You can't overcome that. Come on. So all that has led the Eagles to a 24-21 loss. They did score an opening drive touchdown today, 6 now on the season. They scored 2 more first-quarter touchdowns, 10 for the year. And again, a career high, as long as I've been keeping this stat. Jalen Hurts completed 8 passes to the middle of the field. Got to give a major attaboy to him on that one. And he has now completed 36 passes this year to the middle of the field. But 24-21 loss to the Cowboys. Next up is the Bears on Friday, a short week. Caleb Williams and the Bears. This, to me, is the trap game. I think this is the game that they're going to look past. And they may not look past it now, but this game scares me more than today's game does, honestly. Still think the Eagles will win it, but again, I can see them losing. 8-3 now on the season. And as the show title alludes to, this has got me feeling 2023 vibes. There's cracks all over this foundation, whether or not you're into the offensive line being the problem and the health, right? But there's more to that, right? There's more to that. And it started in the offseason. There was a bad offseason plan for this football team. The offensive line has not been healthy at all this season. They've struggled. I got you. All right. They're injured. But there's been nothing behind them to help them. There's no depth along that offensive line. None of the players have worked out. That's on the GM. It's on Howie. It is. The play calling, it's been a topic all season long. It's not going to go away. It's a legitimate concern. But it's not necessarily Kevin Badullo's concern. And maybe I'm wrong in this. Maybe I'm wrong in thinking this. He is not over there on the sidelines autonomously calling plays in a bubble with nobody else in his ear, with no other, people saying yes, no, well, maybe we should, and maybe we should. He's not doing that. There's a whole bunch of communication going on back and forth. So I'm not putting the problems with the Eagles on the offensive coordinator's door, man. I mean, he's part of it, but he's not the problem. There's no way you can isolate or pinpoint this problem because it's been a problem that has existed here for years. And the one consistent or the one constant through those years has been these offensive player personnel. It has. You don't want to hear that, but it has. So, onward and upward. Next week, Eagles again, Bears. Black Friday. Make sure you're here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network for the Birds Blast. Not the Birds Blast. The Birds Flyby. Friday night following Eagles, Bears. All right, let's take a pause now. Let's get into the of the night segment. I'm going to quickly go through this. We're running late, but I'm going to go into the of the night segment. All right, the other night segment brought to you by, yes, the Philly AM Sports Show with Mike and Big Al. Made their debut this morning. Raving reviews across the internet. I saw the show on a delay. I didn't see it live, but heard it was good. No, it was good. I watched it. Make sure you're tuned in every Sunday morning at 9 for the new era of Philadelphia sports talk here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network. Coming up with this stuff on the fly. Tonight's of the night segment, real quick, we're going to talk about Flyer prospect Owen McLaughlin, the center from the University of North Dakota, 6 foot, 151 or 81 pounds, drafted in the 7th round by the Flyers in 2021. McLaughlin kind of came, sort of took the hockey world by storm, had a nice little breakout. Hang on, I lost my track here. I'm looking for something real quick. I apologize for this. Elite prospects. All right. Let me get back to this. Okay. So McLaughlin took the hockey world by storm when he recorded 72 points in 62 games for the Clark Cup winning Sioux City Musketeers of the USHL during the 21-22 season. A local boy from Phoenixville, he is. He grew up watching, well, that's also where Mike Piazza grew up. And much like the Hall of Fame catcher, early in his career, McLaughlin needs some muscle and strength. He was a project, but one with potential and offensive upside. So, again, a local product. There's got to be something for that out of the Phoenixville, Pennsylvania area. McLaughlin, 7th round pick. Can you imagine that, man? Getting drafted by your hometown team. Talk about a dream. We all wish that. I know we all wish that growing up when we were pretending that we were getting drafted by our hometown team. But so far through this season, McLaughlin, where's his numbers at right here? Where is he? Why can I not find him? Owen McLaughlin, there he is. He is no longer with the University of North Dakota. He's moved on. He's now with Boston. He's with Boston University. 14 games, 4 goals, 9 assists, 13 points, and a -4. Final year, I believe he's going to have to make a commitment. I think he has to commit this year. Let me take a look at his contract. I believe he is signed. I'm waiting for this thing to buffer. Sorry about the delay. But as far as the NHL goes, when it comes to their draft rights, depending on what league you're playing at or what level you're playing in, you have a certain amount of time to sign, and he is not signed. So, yeah, the Flyers are going to have to make a decision with him probably in the spring. So they're going to have to make a decision whether or not to sign him or to let him go back into the pool or become a UDFA under just a free agent. As long as he, so the rule in the NHL is you can sign, if you're the NCAA, you can sign your contract, and your contract would not start until you actually finish out your eligibility. But it also works out as in your eligibility. You have to the end of your eligibility to sign your pro deal, and this is his 4th year of eligibility. This is it. He's a senior athletically. So the Flyers are going to have to make a decision on him this spring, whether or not they're going to bring him into the fold, because he's out of eligibility at the end of the year. This is his final college year of eligibility. So either the Flyers sign him or he becomes a free agent and he can sign with whoever he wants. So Owen McLaughlin is your prospect of the night. Just another one of the many. The height and weight profile worked for me. It's whether or not he's going to be able to be that much of an offensive difference maker at the pro level. And of course, we don't know that. And it's hard for you to ascertain that when he's not played, but playing for a perennial. And when he was in North Dakota as well, both North Dakota and Boston are perennial Frozen Four teams. They're powerhouses in NCAA hockey. So you get as close to that type of level of competition as you can get. Does he have that potential? I think for a 7th round pick, I think he comes pretty cheap, but the Flyers are going to have to make a decision on that based on what they've seen out of him from college over the last 4 years, whether or not to sign him. So Owen McLaughlin, one of those bubble players for the Flyer prospect-wise, that a decision will have to be made this spring, and that is your prospect of the night. Not a sexy one tonight, man. Kind of a boring one. No offense to Owen McLaughlin. I've watched him play. Again, the problem with a lot of these kids and hockey players in general is their ability to get lost on the ice. And I hate that, especially at lower levels. Like when you look at, say, I'll use Jet Lachenko as an example in this. He doesn't get lost on the CHL ice. He doesn't. You always know he's there because you can always point him out. Bonk and Barkey, when they were with London up there in the OHL, they did not get lost on the ice, right? They stood out. Now, a great NHL player continues to have that standout type factor about him throughout his progression. Now, that's not necessarily something that you say that every player must do, because this is not going to happen. But McLaughlin in times gets lost to me on the ice at the NCAA level. And that doesn't bode well for him moving up to the higher level. But again, 7th round pick, it's not like they're going to sign him for the $7, the $250,000 contract that typically all drafted players get that weren't taken in the first round. 3-year deal. You're desperate for help in the middle of the ice. He's a big body with speed and offensive upside. Is it something the Flyers want to continue to develop at the pro level? Well, that's a decision they'll have to make here in the spring. So Owen McLaughlin, your prospect of the night, which leads me to my final segment and my favorite segment. Yep, MattyB's card review back in full effect tonight. Back in 2025, back in Topps, back in Chrome, back in the refractor world, back talking about another rookie standout player as we're getting further and further away from the baseball season. Tomorrow we'll re-engage baseball. We'll do the Hot Stove Report. We'll talk the Brandon Nimmo, Marcus Semien trade today that went down between the Rangers and the Mets, and potentially how that can affect the Phillies, which it will affect them. And does this trade get Dave Dombrowski? Does it light a fire under his ass to do something? This is kind of how it all started shaping up last year, if you guys remember. Remember last year's offseason where it yielded us Jordan Romano, Max Kepler, Joe Ross. Remember that? This is kind of how it all started. It was slow, laborious, and then they threw in these crappy ass signings. So maybe he doesn't know, Dave Dombrowski, that you can trade players now, that the trade freeze is over, and that you can now trade players indiscriminately now to like July 31st. Maybe he doesn't know that. So someone tell him. And he could also sign players other than Brian De La Cruz, who's got Lehigh Valley stamped all over him. Maybe they can do. Does he not know that? But we'll get back into the baseball talk tomorrow, and we will deep dive Flyers again. I apologize. Last night I was supposed to do the post game, but I something came up. But tonight's card of the night: 2025 Topps Chrome Refractor rookie card of a standout player that definitely pushed himself into the limelight. Not that he wasn't out there to begin with, but if you were further away from the Dodgers, if you were in the Dodger circle or Dodger fan watching Dodgers every day, you definitely saw the progression. But he pushed himself onto that national spotlight in the postseason this year for the Dodgers, and that's the young hurler Roki Sasaki of the Los Angeles Dodgers. just a really good-looking young prospect. Again, one of the many Japanese imports that the Dodgers get to go along with Yamamoto and, of course, Ohtani. Definitely the face of the Dodgers of the future. And this is his 2025 Topps Refractor Chrome rookie card, as demonstrated by the rookie card shield up there in the top right-hand corner. You already know where I stand when it comes to Chrome cards. They're my favorite. And this goes without saying. That is also one of my favorite cards. This card's quite valuable, actually, as a 2025 rookie. Right now, you can get it anywhere between, like, I've seen it for as low as 5 and as high as 25. So, but again, these are one of the cards, maybe not to an extent of an Ohtani or a Judge or a Trout rookie, if you might have one of those. This is a card that you can get kind of silly with in terms of maybe trying to see what you can move it for, because these cards are not necessarily low pop cards. Even his chrome, because this is a base Chrome refractor, and it's not a low pop card. It's not at all. So this card might not get much more valuable than this, and it might actually decrease in value if you did decide to hold on to it, because after a while they'll get flooded into the market and they won't be as valuable. And as I said, they're not low pop, so there's a ton of these out there. But a cool looking card. Again, it's a Chrome card. It's hard for me. You already know where I stand with Chrome. But there it is, our 2025 rookie Topps Chrome Refractor Roki Sasaki of the Dodgers. And here it is in its glory. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love Chrome. Love Refractor. Love Topps. Love baseball cards. Yeah. Low as 5, as high as 25. You might want to get silly with this card. Just see where you can go with it. Again, it's not a low pop card base. And it's got a high ceiling, but it has a low edge, so to speak. Because he could have one bad year and he's worthless. So I don't know what you do with that. You get silly with it. How long till Dante Nore comes up? Oof, I don't know. Had a great Arizona Fall League. He's also one of those players that I like to see above AA. Another year. Is there a Birds Blast coming up this week? Yes, Joe. Wednesday. Here's our schedule again. As you can see, Wednesday we'll be back for the Birds Blast. Time to be determined. So we're still working that out. But yes, we will air on Wednesday. And trying to fit it all in. So 24-21, Eagles lose to the stinking Cowboys. And again, it's also the Cowboys. And it wasn't like this was a game that went back and forth, both teams slugging it out, football plays happening all over the place, bounce the ball and all that. No, man, this was a game that the Eagles pulled out and were on the verge of blowing the doors off the Cowboys, and they let the Cowboys come back in. Now the debate will rage for at least another week. Now, the one good thing about this week, at least right now, because I haven't seen anything to the contrary, that this is going to be criticism towards probably the coaching staff this week, not towards A.J. Brown, not towards Jalen Hurts. Jalen, let's give you Jalen's numbers for what it's worth. Jalen was not the problem. He was 27 for 39. Again, that's never going to work. Jalen Hurts has no business throwing the football 39 times or attempting to throw the football 39 times in a game. 289 yards and a touchdown. Dak Prescott, on the other hand, almost went to 400 for 354, 23 through 36, 2 touchdowns and interception. He's that type of quarterback that can do that. Jalen Hurts, whenever you read a stat line like this, that Jalen Hurts attempted 39 passes, you can, you start kind of like, well, what was really going on? Because that's not just how he is. That's not his thing. Some of the other numbers, Saquon Barkley, 10 carries for 22 yards, average of 2.2 yards per carry. His longest of the day was 7 yards. 7 friggin' yards was his longest carry of the day. On the season, Saquon, just amazing here with these numbers. Saquon on the season. What the hell is the season at? There he is. 662 yards on 175 carries, averaging 3.8 yards a carry. 662 yards in week 11. Amazing. Now, again, I said I'm not expecting him to replicate what he did in 2024. No one, you could not go into the year thinking that he was. But maybe the Eagles did. And I think a lot of Eagles fans secretly did. And we're not getting a quarter of that from him right now. And yes, it got heated in here between me and Nooms about the reasoning around the offensive struggles, specifically the running attack. He's citing the offensive line as the primary reason that the Eagles are struggling offensively. I disagree. It's part of the reason, yeah. But there's so much more blame to dish out. It's not like you can get a healthy Lane Johnson, Landon Dickerson, Jurgens, and just be like, let's reset it. It's been a struggle all season with the offensive line. Why? I don't know. How can they go from what they were last year to what they are this year? Yes, the injuries are a factor, but that's not all that's going on. And yeah, how much of it is depth? How much did Howie not do the right job in the offseason? And I know as the season progresses and, short of winning a Super Bowl, the criticism needs to go back on Howie Roseman for a terrible offseason plan. Not enough depth along the offensive line. Not enough depth at certain other offensive positions. Letting the A.J. Brown drama again run out of control. The questionable hires of his head coach, of offensive coordinator, of friends of his. All those things are definitely going to come into play. But I'm not ready to sit here and tell you that it's completely because of the offensive line's health issues. I'm not. And it's because it's not that cut and dry. Just like it's not as cut and dry as it's the coordinator's fault. It's not. No, you want to run a narrative that it's the coordinator's fault or Jalen's fault or the offensive line's fault. It's not that cut and dry. It's an offensive problem with this football team for the last 4 years. It's one-dimensional all over the place. One-dimensional, but it's always been one-dimensional. What that dimension was, though, might have changed year to year. Some years it was a heavy pass. Other years it was the rush. It's always been one-dimensional. Why? I don't know. Is that the head coach? 8-3. 8-3. Imagine if they were 3-8. Like, be all over the place. But a poor performance tonight against Dallas. And what was different between this game and every other game they've played this season was they did not get the fluky play call, the kooky bounce, the block punt, the turnover down low. They didn't get that in this game. So going way back to the beginning of this show, be upset, be frustrated, be mad, be all those things, but do not be shocked. Because this is the line the Eagles have been walking all season long. This is why it's not sustainable to win like this. Because there's such a low margin of error from one side to the next. And a true Super Bowl champion, to me, doesn't play football like this. And all those, they'll fix it. No, they're not going to fix it. They're not. They may slap a Band-Aid on it. They may get it to work better, but they're not fixing it this year. You're not going to be able to. That's not the time of the year for that. No offensive identity through 11 weeks of the season, averaging 8 points in second half play in 2025. Just not going to get it done. But I'm getting it done. That's going to do it for me tonight. You guys, I hope you have a great rest of your night. I hope you enjoy the abbreviated work week for most of you, abbreviated school week for most of you. I know we here on the network will be going at it tirelessly all week long, either providing content to be seen on Thanksgiving or just filling in the gaps around those days other than Thanksgiving. And we will be on the call, on the spot for you for a busy week in Flyer hockey. 4 games this week. You got the Eagles on Bears on Black Friday. You got the final game of Penn State's regular season. And you got all the static shows that we do. Not to mention the Pittsburgh guys, as they'll come back hot and heavy next Sunday as well. So big week on the network. Make sure you're tuned in. Make sure you have a great rest of your night and a great start to your work week. And I'll see you.